Okakopa, Maunakea, Kukia I Mauna, Pohakuku, Ili Kapuaro, Komaiola,
Mahalo to our UH, now they're graduates, they're not students anymore, so congratulations for you folks graduating. Give them a hand. Even though they lived in Bachman Hall for a whole semester, they were still able to graduate. So we are here because on September 12th, University of Hawai'i released their master plan. And in that master plan, they still are prioritizing the building of the 30-meter telescope on Mauna Kea. This master plan is a plan that will guide the university for the next 20 years on how they manage Mauna Kea and those lands. It's been 3 weeks since they released that report, and we need to say a'ole. We need to reject this master plan. This is not a plan. We reject anything the university puts out. They've actually been mismanaging our lands for over half a century. And so we're here to say a'ole. We do not give our consent to this plan. And I want to mahalo everybody for coming out, especially Kumuhina. But our next speaker came here all the way from Maui. And he was up on the Mauna for many months and a very strong vocal spokesperson for Mauna Kea. Want to mahalo and thank Kalekua Ka'eo for coming up here to Oahu, to our island, our Moku. It's such an honor. We are in the pandemic, and all of these things that the university is pushing through, like the master plan for the next 20 years for Mauna Kea, is all under the cover of COVID. And that is unacceptable. That is unacceptable. They're inundating us. They haven't listened to us. I'm tired. I don't know about you guys, but I'm tired of going to hearings and saying a'ole and having thousands of people and hundreds of people come out and say a'ole, and they still continue to do what they were planning to do in the first place. They're not listening. And that is the problem here. They're not listening. So our next speaker, so everybody give a hand to Kumu Kaleko Ka'eo from the University of Hawai'i, Maui. Mahalo.
O kumulipo ke kane o po ele ka wahine. O po ele ele ke kane o po haha ka wahine. O po uli uli ke kane o po vehi vehi ka wahine. O po pano pano kane o po laluehi ka wahine. Ka po kano kano ke kane ka po hiolo ka wahine. Ka po hiolo aku ke kane po hane e mai ka wahine. Ka po hane aku ke kane ka po hane e mai ka wahine. Ka po kini kini ke kane ka po mano mano ka wahine. Hanau lai lai he wahine. O ke li wahilani kāna kane. Hanau mai ka lau o tiita mua, hanau mai o kāne. Hanau kanaloa o ka hee hauna welu. Hanau na pahu o moana liha lau o kua matu pau kele. Hanau e lako lako hope o kū polo li ilia li imuolo i pō he kanaka o la loa. Hokahi lau ali o kāna o la ana. Hanau na pō elu ka pō ino ka pō mai kai. Hanau ka moe ka te tua o wākea alela. Make kū polo li ili. O ke kane ua vai a kua kena o ka linaka vai o wai o ka huli o ka o nua o pai ai ke au ka manawa o he e au lo tapo o piha piha o piha o piha o piha e o piha o det o honua pa ai kalani o leva te au ya kumuli po kapo o no o mai lau lai ka pai o kane ka po kini ka po tita mahu. Hanau lai no ya tapapano tamahine kan hana kamule kan makalu he wahine o poele ya hol kama o poele ya hol kama o vehile ya vehipele o e lai no ya tane hanau hai he wahine hanau hari a he wahine hanau ha kea he kane hanau kamuki muka muke ku ne nebo moku muliana muli vale ana kane kamule ke o kama ka wahine vele vale pe e kan ho hanau kame kana keki ha vika pikapu ye ki e ino ke moyai ha ilio kane hele o vale ha ili o kani lai punia pe ka po haku hailu ko ya kani o kani ka po ke wa nei ka leo hu kani mulia mailo kana mulia haku ai ka mahana mo e mo ya ti e mo ya lai huka no lela ke mahalo aku nei wau ka poi nana e ho ke ali nei ke papahana o he alani ma ke poe haumana o ke kula nui. No ko la ko kupaa, ma ke aina, ma ko kako aina. Ma ke ia kula iwi, kahi e waiho iho nei. Nā iwi o ko kako poe kupuna, mai ka pō mai, a hike no i ke wā a no. No leila hoi, mai no o ko apuina, o kako nā iwi, nā mamo, nā keki, nā moopuna ke kahi. Mai a lai ma, wakea papa, a he mau pula pula, kako a pau, nā hāloa. No leila, na wahi a pau, a kako, e hehi ai. Mana aina a pau, ke la aina keia aina, ke la mokupuni keia mokupuni, mau ka makai. Ke la avava, kai ko olau, kai kona, ke la pea keia pea o ka aina. Ke ku nei kako, ke hehi nei, maluna. O ke aina, o iwi. Kahi e waiho iho nei, na iwi o ko kako poe kupuna, mai puina. He kama aina kako. Kama aina kako, he o iwi kako, no ke ia aina. Mai no a ai, ke ia poe malihini, ke ia aupuni noho hewa, anala ko e koho e ho pilikia e hoa ia kako, e komo hewa, maloko ke la popilikia. Ke maupopo ia kako, o kako ka poe o iwi o ke ia aina. E ola mauana no kako, e ola, e ola, e ola. So I'd just like to first of all say thank you to my sister, Laulani, to Mohina, especially to my Kaikaina, it's Opio, I call him Opio now as I got older, who stood upon this, our Kulanui. Never forget that. This is our Aina. This is our Kulanui. This is our Hawaii. Never act as if we are guests in our own homeland. This is our homeland. And so the first lesson we always have to remember, we must always speak and represent ourselves as the Oiwi of this homeland. And yes, we get plenty aloha to welcome guests here. But we will never allow these so-called guests to somehow believe that they have some kind of right, some kind of power, some kind of authority over our lives, over our lands, over our future. If we acquiesce and we allow them to decide for us, there goes our future. As the great George Helm said, apathy, apathy, apathy is our enemy. We can no longer stand on the side, stay quiet, cry, and just grumble. We must have that courage. We got to get that iini, that desire to walk upon this land as the Oiwi of this land, along with our Pacific Island brothers and sisters. Because if we do not stand together, as the saying goes, united we stand, divided we fall. In regards to this master plan, the first thing we should realize, well, who the hell made the University of Hawai'i the so-called masters of Mauna Kea? We must first remember, the University of Hawai'i are just lessees. It is a fact that they have no legal ownership, authority over that mountain. How many of you lease a room or lease a house on this island? You get to decide what happens in that house? You get to decide to renovate, change, alter? I don't think so. See, we gotta remember, they just a lessee, so we gotta constantly tell them that. They may have the power to misbehave, to be criminals, but they have no true authority over that Mauna, or over our lives. They forgot. And we shouldn't say they forgot because it's purposely done. It's not that they don't know. We, the Oiwi, Koino na Ekuliana o Kanaka, that we have Ho'aina rights to all of those lands, from Puhuluhulu through what they call the Mauna Kea Access Road, now called Kiala Hulu Kupuna. Mahalo to our Kupuna, and I see my brother Liko right over there. My sister Terry over there, the OGs. But from Puhuluhulu, now called Hawaiian homelands, to the top summit of Mauna Kea, are lands that belong to whom? Who did it belong to? Us, the Oiwi. See, their game is to make you forget that. Their game is to make you confused, to somehow believe, oh, we all share kuleana to that. No, we don't. Show me the paper. Show me your title. Show me the treaty. Show me the consent. But if that's the case, no TMT. See, we got to remember, we have to run the show. We must speak. Speak up, stand. Don't stay quiet, silent. And I'm proud. Look at on this Friday, on this day, COVID. And look at everybody here. Everybody that's here. Hiki. Iki aloha aina hope loa. As our kupuna taught us, until the very last. Aloha aina. And I'm looking around. We far from the very last. So we must at all times challenge, what is the kuleana of the University of Hawaii to the summit of Mauna Kea? That's the first thing we should challenge about this so-called master plan. Who are they to develop the master plan? It is for us, our kuleana. No kako. Na kako ia. E malama. E alakai. E hana. A e noho. Maiawahi. But see, the University of Hawaii, they good pimps. That's what it's about. This is not because it makes a better Hawaii. This is because of the financial gains that those who are whether in the university or connected to the university want to make. Whether it's running the security, whether it's putting in the electrical system, whether it's the construction, whether it's the engineering consultants, there's a lot of money to be made off of that Mauna. That's what this is all about. At whose expense? At whose pain? At whose oppression? Upon our pain. And should we just smile? Cry? Sit down? Or are we going to stand and speak and organize? See, that's the question. That's the question we must remember. Think about this. With this master plan, if you hadn't gotten a chance, go and check it out. Creating barriers. For the first time, they want to put in rules on how, when, and who can access that Mauna. Since when have our people been limited? Since when? Since never. But you see, this is how settlerism works. They're there to protect their own financial interests. Under the guise somehow, now, the barriers because we gotta protect. We gotta protect. How can the summit area, which is under the highest level, I'm gonna say this again. This is the highest level of environmental and conservation zone lands. Highest level. Lands that belong to our people. And they wanna create a 19-story building, 5 acres construction. In fact, it's gonna be about the size of the state capitol. Upon the highest level of environmental lands, lands that we hold sacred. See, we gotta understand what's going on here. If the TMT is allowed to be constructed, that is telling us any and all lands in Hawaii can be dealt with in the same way. In other words, it doesn't matter if it's environmentally important. It doesn't matter if it's important to the Kanaka and seen as sacred. Because for them, their selfish, greedy interests supersedes we who have been here for 2,000 years. But they can only do unto us what we allow them to do unto us. And we must remember the power is with us. The power is with the people, whether you Kanaka or non-Kanaka. And especially those who have joined in on the Mauna. We know the power of the people. This is what they're afraid of. That we become educated, we become organized, and we become unified. See, those are the elements we must remember. That is what's going to take. Their job is to take apart the so-called elements. As the great Kwame Ture said, the only struggle that matters is the struggle of ideology. See, that's why the ideology of Aloha Aina is the most important ideology we must protect and use to guide us. We can see, now you see, whoa, everybody like play Aloha Aina, including who? These fellas. Go and check it out yourself. Now they're calling this Aloha Aina University. Think about that sickness. Think about that mentality. But it's only the word. They're not talking real Aloha Aina, of course. Because how can on one hand you call this Aloha Aina University, on the other hand, you're going to construct the world's largest telescope, 5 acres, 19 stories high, a building you could not construct anywhere else in Hawaii. And they're going to talk about Aloha Aina? See, that's what we got to understand. As I was taught by the great Laulani Teale as a student, the so-called 5 C's, as she would teach us. The first is co-optation. See, we got to understand, in order for the university to do unto us what they want to do, they have to co-opt some Kanaka. See, unity is amongst the Kanaka. We can never unify with our oppressors. We can never unify with the subjugators. We can never unify with the foreign occupiers. Because their goals and our goals are not the same. But the pit game, you see, is to somehow convince us, bamboozle us, confuse us to think, hey, we're actually on the same side. That their plans is our plans. Their heroes are our heroes. Their history is our history. That's the game. That's the pimp game. But I refuse, and I hope all of us here refuse to be pimped. No more. We have to be proactive, not reactive. It means we have to organize ourselves here. And I hope everybody here, you should introduce yourself to somebody new. See, that's what it's going to take. Not just commitment to stand alone, but to organize under an ideology of Aloha Aina. To do whatever is necessary so we can stand together in unity. Because if we stand separate, we will not be victorious. It's going to take all of us together. There is nobody here got the answer. But all of us together will find the answer. On the Mauna, I was asked, Kaleko, what is it going to take? And in my response, with one of the persons from the media was, Pehea, elana kilai. O ka umea I pane aku ai. Mau ka nui o ki aloha e pono ai. Mau ka nui o ki aloha e pono ai. What is it going to take to be victorious? My response was, by way of or through all the love that is necessary. Love for the land, love for our humanity, and the love for the future of the upcoming generations, that we will do whatever is necessary so that we can walk as free Kanaka upon our own lands. So this unity is the key. But we have to also understand this idea of those 5 C's. They need to co-opt. They need to commodify talk about how much money you suppose a Kanaka can get. If he jump along, he would throw some money, maybe some programs. How about some financial research programs? See, that's the pimp. The commodification of Aloha Aina and our Aina. Let me ask you, how much is our Aina worth? How much is Mauna Kea worth? Sorry, my brain. We need, then they also, so the point is they need to find people to collaborate with them, to hold their hands. And I'll be honest, I fought with other Kanaka who were telling me, but Kaliko, we get to put up Hawaiian language signs up there. I don't give a shit you can put a Hawaiian name to a telescope. That's not our telescope. But you see how they pimp your mind to somehow celebrate. Wow, they're actually letting us decorate. You see, that's all we are, is a decoration. Superficial. Is that all we are as Kanaka? That's it. We're just decoration. Putting up signs. Throw some Hawaiian words. Maybe put a nice t-shirt. Aloha Aina, UH Mānoa. Is that it? Oh, we might even throw some positions in there. Kanaka? I don't give a rip about positions. I'm looking for transformation. I'm looking for real change. I'm looking for real control. I'm looking for self-determination. Because all you gotta do is look at the zoo. Is that all we are gonna be, Kanaka? Decorative for the university? Because that's their plan. So through this cooptation, you have what we call the comprador class. Those who have self-interest. They're gonna use Aloha Aina. Maybe some research money, maybe to be friendly. But see, we gotta remember, President Lasna is not our friend. I repeat, President Lasna is not our friend. He's the president of this university, which has a long history of racist policies, destruction of our environment, and the support of manifest destiny, and the degradation and the dehumanization of our people. But we can never look to them to solve our issues. You see, that's the point. The only way we'll be victorious is through our own struggle, through our own knowledge, through our own unification. They can never unify us. The only way we can unify is to unify via struggle. And if anybody had the privilege to go up in the Mauna, you saw all peoples, young, old, all different colors, from all different lands, working together for the common good of everyone and for the benefit of Mauna Kea. So I just wanted to end with again thanking everyone here and everyone here understanding that they're kuleana. I don't really care what you do right now. What I care more about is what you teach and what you share. Because it's not really about us, you see. As the great Muhammad Ali said, my students know it was my favorite quote. You know, Muhammad Ali had this very famous poem, as they said, the shortest poem ever. And he says, me, we. So everybody, me, we. Me, we. Because it's only through our struggle together, standing up, speaking, looking at the lessons that have been left for us by our kupuna. Whether you're talking Wilcox, you're talking Wise, you're talking Kaulia, you're talking Navahi, you're talking the great George Helm, who gave us these words. Call me radical, for I refuse to remain idle. I'll not let the foreigner prostitute the soul of my being and make a whore out of my culture. Only we, together, can do whatever is necessary to push us so we can be victorious. But it starts with every one of us committing to spreading the message, to organizing, to standing, speaking, attending those meetings. Every student, when you walk into this classroom, you write your papers, write about Mauna Kea. You do your speech, talk about Mauna Kea. We must at all angles, at every corner, remind them of who we are upon this land and what we want upon this land. That we are human beings. We have a humanity. And we refuse to be dehumanized anymore. We refuse to allow President Lasna and the University of Hawai'i to treat us as less than human beings in our own land, whereby we cannot decide for ourselves what to do with our own land. Whether or not President Lasna thinks Mauna Kea is sacred is irrelevant. Who the hell gives a shit what he thinks? His opinion doesn't matter to us. We have nothing to prove to them. They have no moral authority on the truth. It is our commitment with one another that we must remember and be committed to. Nā kako ia, e awamo I kia kuleana. No kako kia aina. No na hanau na hiki mai ana, kia muaku. No leila. Me ima olelo, mai puina kiala olelo, a kamehameha. I mua e nā poki, a inu I kawai ava ava, a ohe hope, e ho ia iai. No leila. Aloha aina kako, mahalo dui. Aloha. My sister.
Okay, can we give Kumu Kaleko another round of applause? Because that was my ka'i. Those are words of truth that we needed to hear today. And you know, Kaleko is, I want to just, mahalo, Kaliko's here, so we're going to hear from Uncle Liko in a little bit. But I want to mahalo everybody for being here. This is really touching to have everyone here.
Shoot. Hold on one second, let me get
no matter in what situation, we always have to choose to stand and speak. Because the moment we stay silent is the moment we lose everything. And
it's on video.
You have a choice at any time to stand up or to speak out for our aina, for our people, for our lahui. You have to do it.
Okay,
because that's our kuleana. And that's why we're here today. So I want to call up the next speaker, Ihilani Laskonia. She's a grad student here at the University of Hawai'i, and she's gonna just sharing some of her mana'o. Mahalo, Ihilani.
All right.
Okay, I will. Oh, wait. Aloha na kako, oi keia. No I wanna know mai o kai ke manawa kina me o ka hale no mana. Aloha mai kako. My name is Ihilani Lasconia. I'm from Waimanalo, but I'm currently residing at the UH dorms where I work. Like Kumuhelani said, I'm a grad student at the University of Hawai'i, and currently my program is Education Administration, Higher Education. So what Kumukaleko did so beautifully was he gave context to the situation. And what I'm gonna do, because it's what I'm here to do, and I'm not an orator or a public speaker, but it's to break down the master plan, the master disaster plan, as I like to call it, for the University of Hawai'i Mauna Kea lands. Yeah, so if you wanted to sit down, you can sit down. I know we were standing for a long time, but yeah, okay. But I guess for some context, going into it, my first day of the university was August 21st, 2017. And on that same day, there was a Board of Regents meeting. And behind me, if you can see it right back there, there's a sign with how many people were arrested on Mauna Kea and Halakala. And as we know, since 2019, the arrests have gone up insurmountably. One arrest would have been too much, but the fact that we've surpassed 100, it's terrible. And to be a student at the University of Hawaii, or mind you, a place that declares themselves a Hawaiian place of learning, an indigenous serving institution, that's just hevel. And Kumukaleo talked about this a little bit, but the university doesn't just make money off of the proposed TMT or the astronomy, but they profit off of, and we literally are being prostituted by the university through them having these sayings. So there's really nothing sexy about education administration, the program that I'm in. This affects you because one, the University of Hawaii is a research institution. So all of the research, all of the knowledge that happens at the university is produced. There's no shadow of a doubt that it affects not just what's going on in the University of Hawaii community, but our Pai'aina as a whole and the Pacific, because we're one of the only research one institutions not in Hawaii, we're the only one in Hawaii, but in all of the Pacific as well. And so with that, we are classified as a Title III institution. And how many of you people, if you just raise your hand, know what a Title III institution is? And if you don't, like, that's okay, I'm here to give context. Okay, awesome. So it was a classification given in the 90s for colleges and universities who serve indigenous peoples. So Kanaka Maoli, although we weren't legally described as indigenous, we do fall under that category. And with that, the university literally gets millions and millions of dollars of funding. So by declaring that they're a Hawaiian place of learning, by declaring that they're a Native Hawaiian serving institution, they literally have money to do projects and programs such as this. And the problem is that we're the ones, us Kanaka Maoli, Kanaka Iwi, the ones who bring funding to this university, and yet we don't even have a say what happens to the lands that they illegally govern. Like Kumukaleko said, they're not the owners of Mauna Kea. We are. They're just the ones who are leasing it. About this, they've created this 20-year master plan, and their lease is up in only a few years. So to them, for us to understand that they already think that they have the jurisdiction to do what they want to do with Mauna Kea is completely hevel. And I'm just gonna, if you didn't get the chance to write or read this report, I didn't, and we're just gonna not clown them, but we're just gonna go over the reasons why this plan is stupid. Okay, first we have to know who the people who are controlling this master plan, the people creating it, because when we think about it just as the Board of Regents in general, but we don't know their names or who they're from or who they represent, then it's harder to attack them. But once we see their faces and we understand the interests in which they serve, we can organize more collectively. We on the same page? Cool. So who is the Board of Regents? So the Board of Regents makes up 11 members, all except for one, to my knowledge, are Kanaka Maoli. All except for one come from education. So the University of Hawaii being the public institution for Hawaii and largely for the Pacific, but being operated and governed by people who are involved in militarism, the tourism industry, banks, big media such as KITV and KHON. Like, that's something we have to understand. The university isn't even governed and operated by educators. It's by business people. It's by those who have private interests within the military. And so as we can see, that's the reason why they're going so hard for Mauna Kea, and specifically the TMT. It was never about astronomy. It was never about science. It was never about studying the stars, because we already know that. Everything they want to discover, it's in our mele. It's in the voices of our kupuna. It's in the things that our mo'opuna are going to dream of and discover. Also, just like side context, the technology for the TMT is almost 15 years old. Imagine trying to establish or put like a TV in your apartment that's like the one with the antennas. That's just, it's ridiculous. And in my opinion, and I know that maybe a lot of people don't share the same sentiments as me, but it's more than just a telescope. What we're fighting for here is the deoccupation of our country. We are in a national crisis here. It's so much more than the 30-meter telescope. What they're doing, what they've seen us do, it makes them scared. This game has changed. It's not about a telescope. It's about us getting our nation back. And if we can stop the TMT, then we can do anything. And they're scared of us, not just because there's more than one of us, but because we're highly educated. This institution, although governed by those who aren't Kanaka Maoli, Queen Liliuokalani literally created the infrastructure for this institution to exist. And it was only 3 days later when the Committee of Safety overthrew the kingdom, and then a couple years or a couple months later, the university was established. So we have to remember, although this institution isn't governed by us, it was created, at least the infrastructure in general. It's ours, and we have to reclaim it. And a lot of people think, oh, once Hawaiians get deoccupied, or once we get free, we won't know what to do. It's happening right now. Deoccupation isn't an event, just like settler colonialism and our occupation isn't an event. It didn't happen and it didn't cease to exist once the overthrow happened. It continues, and so much of the reason why we continue to exist in this illegal occupation is because this institution right here, the University of Hawai'i, trains the doctors, trains the lawyers, trains the teachers in Hawaii to carry out this occupation, regardless if they're aware of Hawaiian politics or not. They have internalized it. We've internalized it, and so much of what we need to do is unlearn that, and that's decolonization. Anyways, I'll digress. But colonization is a process. It's not just an event, but our liberation in return is going to be a process and not just an event. So it's this conversations that we're having. It's joining up together as Lahui to talk about how are we going to not just fight this, but fix this. Because at the end of the day, the TMT is not going to go up. That's a non-negotiable. It's already not going to happen. But it's what are we going to do to this institution after this fight is over. Cool. All right. So to summarize, Board of Regents, they're bad. They represent the military, banks, police force, and big media. And they're the people who govern this institution. And so in the university master plan, they're talking about who approves it, the Board of Regents, not educators, not Kanaka Maoli, but those big interests. And a lot of these people and these folks can be tied back to the Big Five. So if you're new to Hawaii and you don't know what the Big Five is, it's essentially a conglomerate of settlers and folks who descended from missionaries who honestly still control a lot of land and power in Hawaii today. And so they try and split it up, and they try and act like there's a bunch of different governing boards who are part of this master plan or part of facilitating the University of Hawaii, like AOE Kaleo, which is listen to the voice. We've been speaking, and they just haven't been listening. And so the voice in which they choose to center is themselves. So are they really taking us into account with this plan? No, I don't think so. That's just not the truth. But they say that the master plan, there's the Mauna Kea rules, there's a comprehensive management plan, and then there's the master plan in general. And although they say these things are discrete, consistent, and complementary, we have to be aware that the Board of Regents, they make subcommittees to work on these different parts of the Mauna Kea management system. So even though they said it's siloed and different people have different responsibilities to different things, it's the same people on the same board circling in and out to make these rules that make no sense. Are you guys following me? Cool. Yeah, I'm not a orator or public speaker, but I love teaching, so stoked to be here with you all. So that's ridiculous. And at the very, very center, I know you can't see my paper. If there's kupuna here, I printed out copies, because if you don't have a computer, that's okay. But in the very, very center of this framework, it says, encourage people to collaboratively protect Mauna Kea. I read it again, and it's on page 3 of the master plan. It's to encourage people to collaboratively protect Mauna Kea. What the hell is that? What does that mean to collaboratively protect Mauna Kea when they're the ones who have written within the plan for the TMT to continue to exist? And they talk about this as if they gained the lease, as if they're going to have another 20 years. But we're here to tell them that their time is up, and we're going to be the people holding the front lines. And sometimes the front lines aren't on Mauna Kea. Sometimes the front lines look like this stage. Sometimes the front lines look like the Board of Regents meetings. Sometimes the front lines look like beefing with your sister and your dad and your mom because they agree that the TMT should go up. So I'm begging you folks today that this conversation doesn't just stay here, that the front line in this Lahui, in any movement, it's going to be in those really deep and small and intimate conversations. And especially if you're a settler, it's your kuleana to carry on these conversations, because we can do this without you, but if you're going to join us, like, at least use 2 hands instead of 1. But yeah. So they're asking us to encouraging us to collaboratively protect Mauna Kea, and that just speaks to how much they throw words and they try to season diversity and social justice. And as someone who's involved in student affairs and education administration, they love using these words like collaboration, traditional, integrate. Well, you know that honestly, it's not about collaboration. It's not about multiculturalism. The movement to protect Mauna Kea is about Hawaiian lands. It's about Hawaiian people, and it's about this Hawaiian struggle. And that's not something we're willing to compromise on. So yeah, they're trying to make it seem like we can work together to find a solution. But the solution is them getting off the Mauna, divesting from the TMT, and removing themselves from the lands that aren't ceded, they're stolen. Sorry, my paper's getting all bust. Okay, cool. Yeah, and a lot of people think, and even people in the Lahui are saying this is good. Like Kumokalekua said, it's good for us. They're gonna let us name these telescopes. They're gonna have Makolala Hawaii initiatives. They're gonna give us programming to teach about astronomy, not just at the university, but in K-12 institutions. And we should be the ones deciding and governing how funding gets dispersed, what programs get to go up. I'm done taking crumbs, and I'm done taking pieces and pockets of things that belong to us. Why are we begging for a piece of the pai'aina which belongs to the Hawaiian people and to the Hawaiian nation? I'm sick of it, and I'm tired. So for us to consent to negotiating with them, no, we're not going to do it. Yeah, like Sis's sign says, no consent. You want to hold them up? Yeah. No consent, no treaty, and we're not allowing it. But they're using words like kuleana, ike Hawaii, hupono, laulimo as their grounding values and foundations for this master plan. I work for the university. I work in student housing services. The way that they market people to come to this institution and to study and to learn, it's no different than the tourism trifold pamphlets that you see in Waikiki. It's just the prostitution of our people and our culture through education. Anyways, going on and summarizing. Sorry, I teach, so summarizing and then moving on is something that I like to do. They're co-opting our language and our people, so much so that it isn't, at its source, it's not Olelo Hawaii. It's just English being translated into our language. And if you know Olelo Hawaii, even just a little bit, if it's not Oiwi at its source, it literally is just the colonizer's tongue disguised as our mother's. So that's Heva. All right. Moving on. So the master plan says nothing about explicitly moving forward with the TMT, but if you wanted to look on page 9, they actually have it written into the plan, and it says in the UH commitment section 4.12 is that only facilities that are sensitive to and respectful of Mauna Kea's cultural landscape and natural resources and contribute to stewardship will be accepted by UH, which is completely Heva because there should have never been a telescope there in the first place. And so how can you say that you're only going to put up culturally relevant things and pono things when nothing should even be there? We shouldn't even have to be there. The fact that we were standing there in the Wa'okua just is a testament to the fact that nothing should be there. I know that wasn't the most adequate thing to say, but it's true. The fact that we even have to enter a place where we shouldn't be to protect it just shows how entrenched and committed the university is, not to protecting Hawaiian lands or Hawaiian stewardship, but continuing the colonization in which UH has done for generations and generations, over 100 years. And so with that being said, I'm almost done with the master plan. But something that I wanted to bring up and talk about with you folks, which is really important, is that some of the most heinous things that they plan to do within this master plan are sometimes the most sly. And I think we've seen this in 2015 and then again in 2019 where they tried to slyly revise the rules so that we couldn't go up Mauna Kea Access Road. So one of the things that they try to do for managing access, and that's section 5.3, is that they want to, just gonna let the uncle ride through, okay? Okay, awesome. They want to do a phase 1 concept, which is a staffed kiosk, and they said it's for protection, risk management, and making sure that people don't go off trails or tracks. But we wouldn't be able to access Mauna Kea without a public ticket, so they would need to profit off of it first. 2, an access card, and 3, a pin pad. So although it seems like a really small thing, they're literally trying to limit our access to Mauna Kea, and we would have to have the consent of the university, now even more so like than before, which is extremely helpful. So that's a detail that we should be aware of. And I know it's a minuscule thing, but it's something that we have to talk about, because if they want to put up a kiosk and a checking court at Mauna Kea, who's to say that they're not going to do that at Kopo? Who's to say they're not going to do it at Mokua, where they've literally put up a space for us? So Lahui, we have to be maka'ala. We have to see the small things that they're trying to do to keep us from our kupuna. And it's things like a kiosk, it's things like a really tiny clause, section 5.32, that's going to be the end all and be all if we can win this or not. And like I said, the telescope, it's not going to happen, it's not going to go up. But these little tips and things that they try and put, it's going to add up in legal fees, it's going to add up in arrest. And one arrest was already too much, but the fact that this could really hurt us, this kiosk, so we got to be maka'ala for it. Sorry, are you still with me? Am I like talking people like out of boredom? Cool. Okay, I teach over Zoom too, so I can never gauge people. It's almost like a seance where their cameras are off and like, are you there?
Here, leave it here.
Can I have a sign?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, that was pretty much my summary. Yeah, like I said, I'm not an orator, not a public speaker, but I am an educator, and I'm passionate about this issue, and I'm passionate about education. You don't have to comb through the master plan and all like the legal technicalities. I'm a master's student, and I'm a graduate research assistant, so I will do that for you, and I will report back to you the next time we pukako. So malama pono and kukiai mauna.
Woo! Kukiai mauna!
Wow, that was my ka'i. Okay, thank you so much, Ihilani. That was a great breakdown of the master plan.
Ew.
And that is why it's wonderful to come together like this when you see our OPO coming up here and they're so akamai and they just break it all down for us. So I love it. Mahalo, Ihilani. So an organizer here.
Let me see if I can.
An advocate for Mauna Kea for decades, and she's been there at the front line time and again with Uncle Liko. And I wanted to just say one more announcement. We did hand out signs that say no consent, and that is pretty much our message here today, that we do not consent to the building of TMT on Mauna Kea. No matter what plan the university has or what they write, we're not consenting to that. So up here on the wall, because they're doing work on Bachman Hall, I thought we have staple guns. Before you leave, make sure you staple your sign up. You can also make your own sign and write a message and leave it here. But keep it in kapu aloha. This is a great art wall. We can make it, something for our Mauna. And so I want to just call up Laulani. Are you ready? Makakau. And Uncle Liko, Martin is going to be coming up with her. And everybody knows Uncle Liko. All Hawaii stand together. Mahalo. We also have waters in the cooler. So I also wanted to mahalo the media for being here and for live streaming our event today. And mahalo to all the speakers that came up today. It's wonderful. A big part of this is education. Okay, great. Awesome. Where did Uncle Liko go? Laulani, like, come up. Does Uncle Liko got a plug in? Oh, he does. Okay. I'm so sorry. Okay.
Mahalo, Leilani, mahalo, everybody. I'm just holding the space a little bit until Uncle Liko Martin gets here. But for those who don't know, Uncle Liko, he is one of the 38 kupuna who was arrested on Mauna Kea. He's been a very, very long time warrior in our movement here, all the way from Kalama Valley and Kaho'olave. He co-organized with George Helm. He was he's on the roof in Kalama Valley. He's been here forever. He's written so many of our really, really dear and important songs, and he's also an awesome bard of Aloha Aina, a healer, an Aloha Aina hands-on practitioner, and so many other things. So I just want to introduce him. I know he's still getting things together back there, but while we wait for Uncle Liko, I wanted to say a few things about some of the things that the previous speakers had said that are very, very important. In terms of that co-optation, I think that the thing that is very important to remember is that the battle that we face today is largely a battle of a narrative. And I think we all know that, but I think that it's also important to envision that narrative as it exists every single day, as we drive down the road, as we, use banks and other things that are different. We work to pay bills, and we do all of these things. It all contributes to a narrative, an idea that is a little different than what is really happening in our world. What is really happening in our world is that here we are, the indigenous people of this land, the people who've been here forever, the Kanaka Maoli of this land, who are part of this land because our bones literally connect to the land. And our voices speak for the land, and as we speak for the land, every effort is being made to silence us. Every effort is being made to encapsulate our voice. And really, if you look at the master plan that was put out, they call it E o Ikaleo. e o I kaleo. It's singular. They're not listening, they translate it as listening to the voice. Well, they're listening to a singular voice, and it's not ours. It's very, very important that, as Tita said, the front line of this struggle is every single day, wherever we are. It's very, very important to shift that narrative. If we do that with each other, if we do that out in the world, if we do that in the media, if we do that internationally, if we do that in the places of these powers, where these decisions are being made. Right now, I work with a lot of students from the University of California who are working on their end of that narrative with their Board of Regents to shift that away, because if the University of California pulls out, TMT is done. But let's remember too, this is a lot larger than TMT. This is about us. This is about our country. It is about our aina. It's about our relationship to the land. It is about the future generations continuing. And it's about us stopping genocide. And it is very important for us to remember that genocide is being committed every single day. It's being committed as we speak. And, you know, I went to this school. I got a Bachelor's of Arts degree in video production, and I got a master's degree in public health. And I learned a few things about health in that process. Mahalo, University of Hawai'i. And one of those things that I learned was about the process of incremental genocide that happens all the time. Because when you commit genocide, it doesn't matter if you kill people fast or if you kill people by very slow steps that destroys their sense of well-being, that causes them to have a really hard time to support their own health, that destroys their sense of pono, that destroys their connection to the land that feeds them and allows them for the kind of nutrition that you need to have to be a Kanaka and to live the lifestyle that we are born to live in our own land, you know. And so a lot of times they're like, oh, don't say genocide, oh, that's wrong, that's insulting to those people who are getting whacked out in the street. Well, you know, we absolutely should empathize with the people who are getting whacked out in the street or shot down in the street. And at the same time, our empathy should come from our own recognition of that bullet that is held against our own heads every single day. And if we try to go up the Mauna when we need to be there, that bullet will show itself. We may not see it, it might not appear in the pictures, but it is there. And we need to remember that that is what this ultimately, what if you peel away all this narrative, that's what it comes down to. It's the right that they have is not the right to govern us. It is the right that is held in a gun. That is what they own. They own the bullet in the gun that keeps us off of our land. But they cannot use that bullet very easily. So we need to shift that. We need to bring ourselves together. We need to overpower them with aloha. We need to take that power and we need to use it. And we need to say, ole. You will not go any further because we are the people of this land. And when we say no, we mean a'ole. End of story. So let me see. I'm just filling in space over here. So, all right. So we're going to call up Uncle Liko. This is Uncle Liko Martin. And by the way, he, I just want to give a shout out to him and Kumuhina because they won a hoku last night, or was it last night or yesterday? Whenever the hokus was. Yeah, we. Oh yeah, we. That's right. Everybody was part of that with the whole world. With the Mauna Maoli. The what you call it, the jam for Mauna Kea won the Hoku. So with the two of their songs, these are the two hakumele. So we just really proud of them, and we're really proud of all of the great kini that are part of that. Okay, are we good?
Take off the reverb, kind of put on middle. You can bring them back. Hello. Aloha, gang. Hey, man. Here we are. Again. Thank you. You know, all the way back from Bachman Hall days, the microphone is a little too loud. So you can take it down and take off the reverb and stuff like that. Kind of put it, yeah. So I can come up close. Still a little hot. Thank you. My guitar can go down just a little bit. I can always get a kind of the beat of the tempo of the movement, yeah. It's in the current like a water. Today, the current, oh man, long steady strokes. What Kalekua spoke of was what I texted out to Lahui by finding out about Hawaii law. Although they would love very much to throw us bones and dry dog food, a couple of brownfield lois over there, this generation, after 5 decades, now we have our whole hand. You are the tail of the mo'o. The body cannot go forward and go any kind of way like before. You hold onipa'a. Okay? Onipa'a. And form up. Like everybody was on the Mauna that day. Everybody standing right in front. Skippy went up there and said, okay, you guys, form up. Everybody looking at, what does that mean? Make a line and let them come through the line. Form up. We need to not be just a self-determination. No, we need to take over management. That's what this education is all about, so that in 50 years from now, maybe less than that, in the blink of an eye, we will be able to chart the destiny, like the song says, okay? So I can tell by the current, the water is moving real smooth. And pay tribute to Keoki. And Kimo. And all the others who are not here. And that's a lot of ohana. And for all the ones who have not been born yet, that you folks who cannot raise your families now, we have to work hard to open it up so that one by we're going to be like pula flying like leaves from the tree. Okakopa. Aloha Moku Kaholave. Mai ke no hiko inoa o kanalo. Ko he malama lau Kanaka Maoli.
Hana hano na pua o hui alaloa ano ke kaua kauholo me kaupuni paapu ka mana o hano ka pono hano ka aina imua na pua lana kila ka ho'alave. So, form up. You folks are here now. You can bring the guitar back up, Kalamai. That's occurring, you know. Hano, hano, na pua, o Hawaii ne. Hano ke kaua, kauholo, me kaupuni. Haapu ka mana o hano ka pono no ka aina. Imua na pua lana kila ka ho'alave. Aloha ku moku o ka ho'olave. Mai ki no hiko ingoa o kanaloa ko he mala malama lau kanaka ole hiki mai na pua e ho malu mai. Let's have a good voyage, bro. Huh? Yeah, get ready. We're in the playoffs. We're going to win the whole good thing. We're in the playoffs. And you know what? The whole world is playing with us. Okay? So all we got to do is keep bringing up the aloha and the mana and heal and love. You know, I'll share something. Some people say you got to be careful, share your dreams. But I can share one dream. Just before we went to Washington, D.C. to redeliver the Queen's 1897 protest, okay, against this so-called annexation, I had a dream. I was coming down the stairs where I grew up at the foot by Tongs Beach. I was coming down the whole stairs over there. And this huge figure rose up out of the water, looking down at me. He was just ele. So ele was purple. And he had gold laced through his body. And he looked down at me. And he said, my name is Ka'ohe. I'm Kamehameha's greatest warrior. My weapon was love. And lo and behold, the place where we got arrested on Mauna Kea is in the Ahupua that was given to Ka'ohe. So love is going to be the answer. Kapu aloha, ho'oponopono, sit down, kuka. So this has been a long time coming to the university, from Bachman Hall, even from before, come over here, Piklauau, Miklauhala, you know, the Ahu. And it's like a trust, okay? You ever hear this word about the sacred trust? the trust lands, the trust obligation. Our task to show what is trust, to live what is sacred. Everything is sacred. O ke kakao kou e ke akua. Okay. So, in that way, so this song is, you can run, but you cannot hide from the pillars of genocide. It was written in Washington, D.C., when the state of Hawaii and Oahu made it look like they had a beef, but really they were trying to set up, they say that we found an extra 1 million acres of land, and conveniently, maybe that can go with the Okakopa bill, and we take care of the problem. Back to South Africa again. We already got South Africa. We know where it is. We know how it's administered. They cut your body right in half. But this song is for sacred. What is sacred? Ako Laulani maningni for her is the squadron commander.
Lock me in the prison walls, kick me out into the streets and halls. Whatever happened to the sacred trust? Did they forget about us? Our aspirations for self-determination lie in the dust. So tell me, what have I done wrong? Tell me, why won't you leave me alone? Is it the shame of what's been done? Why do they do it? They can't refuse if they're under the gun. And you can run, but you can't hide behind the pillars of genocide. You can lock me in the prison wall, aspirations for self-determination lie in the dust. I can see Mick Jagger coming on stage. You know, with the whole Rolling Stones, let's take it home, man. But kick me out into the streets and halls. Whatever happened to the sacred trust? Did they forget about us and our aspirations for self-determination lie in the dust? That's the Lahui, that is, and other places thereabouts, Mauka and Makai, and that was funny, you know. We're never going to run out of songs. It was so easy to make up a list. We could be here till tonight, you know what I mean? But certain specific ones, and let me see if I still got my little. Let me see, what was my things? Okay. Mauna Kea. Mauna Kea. Yeah, they fought Mauna Kea. You know, when the DLNR, the second time we came in, and, you know, it's just like that mutiny on a bounty at the very end, and the High Admiralty is telling the guy, bro, if you walk inside there and you see the dagger pointing at you, you're a condemned man. Okay? So, the second time we go in, the first time I went to the hearing, and I hadn't been active visibly that much, and thanks to the squadron commander, I'm able to fly along and be up on stuff. So I was thinking, well, you know, maybe I'll go sing one song. Sure enough, that's all I had to say. What, Nico? You know a song? Okay, stand by. The song came. So went there, sang this song. The second time we went, when the dagger was pointed to us, when I walk in there with an unclassified memorandum from the State Department to Neil Abercrombie, the governor, and the chairman of the board says to me, now, Liko, I don't want to hear about any international law or anything like that. While he was saying that, the copy of that notice was human rights. The obligation of the United States to human rights. There's nowhere to hide. Okay, our national origin, entitlement. Okay, but anyway, here we are, and for Mauna Kea, and all the kuainas up there, huh, holding down. We heard that maybe the guys was going to move them over there. Out in about 20 minutes, I was packed already. Oh, they really coming? They're coming again. Thank you very much. Keep walking to the cliff. Keep walking to the cliff. And this song is beautiful, mele, they will come. That Mauna Kea, you notice what's going on, yeah? With the, you know, the pot is kind of boiling, yeah? And Mauna Kea sleeps no more. We start this again. Okay. mighty ocean, into the clouds, up to the heaven. Sleep, oh Mauna Kea, sleep. Now upon your ground so hallowed comes a mighty army thundering, with bombs and bullets flying, laying waste amongst the bowers. While you sleep, oh Mauna Kea, sleep. And woe the time to come when the pot shall boileth over, and thundering ash and embers shower down the rains from under. When Mauna Kea sleeps no more, when Mauna Kea sleeps no more, and the battle rages on, and few are spared from plunder. Some are homeless, just a number, in a graveyard of despair and hunger. While you sleep, oh Mauna Kea, sleep. So the question lies before, for a few dollars more, shall a scar be on your face, or will your beauty be embraced? While you sleep, oh Mauna Kea, sleep. And woe the time to come when the pot shall boileth over, and thundering ash and embers shower down the rains from under. When Mauna Kea sleeps no more, when Mauna Kea sleeps no more, when Mauna Kea sleeps no more. One from Mauna Kea must be so beautiful from up there, no?
Hey, one quick announcement. There's some chalk markers I brought over here in case anybody wants to, like, do something active. I promise it won't actually desecrate their so-called sacred, barricade, but there are some washable chalk markers that eventually the rain would take away, but that if anybody wants to send a letter to little message to the university, please feel free to do so in aloha, of course, but they're right over there. And I believe that there's also some putting up signs, potential too. Quick announcement.
So, while the bases are loaded, okay, we made it to the playoffs. So, you know, songs, I'm just glad I gave myself, you know, when you give yourself to something and your reward is there. So, how are we going to do this? You know? And I was asked one day by a candidate, you know, not, you know, Oivi, Kanaka Ivi, but a human being. She was running for office and she said, Liko, you got to write a song about keep the country. That's all somebody had to say to me. Okay? And this song is just, to me, hear this song, Grand Slam. So this is our final song, I believe. Okay? And so what? Country for as long as we live. To keep the country, what would you give? Would you give your heart and your body too, and set your mind on the things you do to keep the country? The country needs me and you. Or we can keep the rivers flowing from the mountains to the sea. To keep the rivers flowing, where should we be? In the valley stream, by the running stream, by the mango tree and the fire burning. To keep the country, it takes a country, if you know what I mean. We're gonna celebrate this life. Everything's gonna turn out right. Kick off your shoes, put your ties on. Head for the taro patch and Tutu's farm. Gonna go down the beach and check the reef. 'Cause sisters, she's coming with that luau leaf. You can keep the country, but it takes a country, if you know what I mean.
happy and well fed. And to those city lights that shine so bright, you've had your time and now I'm gonna take mine. We can keep the country, country. I'll take the country one more time. Oh, line up. We're gonna celebrate this life, 'cause everything's gonna turn out right. Well, kick off your shoes and put your tabes on. Head for the taro patch and Tutu's farm. Go down the beach and check the reef, 'cause sister, she's coming with the luau leaf. We can keep the country, country. We're gonna keep the country green. To keep the country, country, it takes a country, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean? Okay, let's have a good, just Hana O gang, form up, pick your targets. A good friend of mine closed with this short comment. Many years ago, many kupunas, we used to sit and talk. The time when there was plenty of vets. Well, bro, should we do this? Shall we do that? And one very wise kupuna said, well, you know what's going to happen if you try to pull the skin off a mole? We're going to bleed. Sonoda-Pale is home on our nui. And then the time came where he said, that
Somebody's bag.
I cannot forget.
Oh, it's so pretty.
I think they still painting or something.
happened.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah, it was just on the grass.
we can do this.
Down and take them and reuse them.
It's our destiny. It's our time. And this generation now,
Down, yeah.
Okay.
waited a long time, 120 years since the Queen.
I don't want them to just rip it down.
Had to not surrender, but yield and put the United States under us under a tree of protection.
Sign waving. You can bring it. Yeah, for the next
When she yielded rather than surrender, that was an obligation. Today, obligation sits on top. So,
Oh, yeah, Mahali.
here we go, gang.
Hey, maybe you can.
We never lost anything. All we lost is, let's get organized.
Maybe you can announce it.
I think they're over there.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Let's sing one more song. Well, okay, we just hit one home run. And we got one more batter coming up. Unless somebody wants to speak. And we're going to sing
Or maybe it's
our
not
song.
lunch. Maybe no.
And I want to introduce this song. And I must mention the name of a very, very dear close friend of mine. His name was Don Hole.
Auntie, is this yours?
Who for 5 years at the height of the
live video running. Oh, I was using it as a stand.
So it was in the pocket.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it was just poking. It was just poking out of the pocket.
One day, when I went in there, I never had no pet pants.
Did you
on
pick
the
it up a
model,
while ago?
long hair and everything.
Oh, just now.
And
Okay.
I wanted to go back to Honau now. The place that I told the Coast Guard when they took us off of Kaho'olawe. He says, what's your name? Liko Kalani. He said, where you live? Tu'uhunua Honau now. He said, to come play the same game. John Doe A. I miss the Pu'uhunua. And he said, Liko, please don't leave before you write us a song. Leave us something, Don Ho asked me. 4 hours later, the Don Ho was just in and gave him the song. He was in office with him, had written the song, and in walked Antipilahi Paki. Antipilahi Paki translated that song. She put her heart into it. She knew what it meant. And it became Hawaii Loa Kulike Kako.
The first person that I have known ever to, and I produced him to sing the song in the Kanaka Maoli was Mauna Teale. Mana kai manahila Teale from Ni'ihau. And I'm going to be happy to share. And to him it was Hawaii loa tuli ke kātou. Kuli ke kātou. So for all our kupunas, for our naue, and we forever. This is forever. Okay? We will always have to maka'ala. Once we're going to step up to take our place, we charting our destiny and be sitting up in the position of unity, not just of bodies, but of heart. That we will always have a job. That's our job security is for maka'ala ko pa'aina Hawaii. And the generation is here. Think of next year, next month, 5 years from now, 50 years from now. Okay? They wouldn't rob you when you guys was in the cradle. But you know what? You folks are here.
Yo!
Okay? So I am thrilled. This is like to see this. My memory of all my kupunas and everybody is looking through me to you and giving that blessing. Okay? Malama kokino. So we sing Hawaii loa, kule ke kako. We check the current as nighttime comes.
Ku
And how are we going to do that? Huh? We're going to medley into one song. Another song. When we went to Washington, D.C., when I left Kauai, I was walking towards a copy of the Kue petition. Right? My mother had given me one and had picked out all my Ohana's name on top there. And I didn't know why I was walking towards it. Somebody told me, "Bro, you better go over there by the Kue." As I started walking to it, these words came to me. By the time I reached there, all I did was look for a piece of paper. And this is what the Kue petition said. Liko, just sing it like about this, like this. And it's kind of like I call it the Patriots Shuffle. This song is called the Patriots Dream. And it's like 3 steps forward and half a step back. 3 steps forward and half a step back. One time I was able to do it, but you gotta practice, Patriots gathered on the palace steps. Some just watched and wept, others simply fed as the Marines came marching up the boulevard with their Gatling guns and the shining swords. Oh, the queen looked out from her palace walls, standing tall for one and all, and the song of aloha still fills the air, and the marching band looks on. So patriots gather 40,000 strong, protest the taking of the sacred ground, and the queen left a letter on the justice door, and the patriots look on. So, next destination, 40,000 people. Can you imagine? Down there on Baratania Street and King Street, come one, come all. 40,000, just like the petition says. How are they gonna react? Oh, the patriots gathered at Thomas Square. They raised the flag, and we are here, and the song they sang was for righteousness, and the patriots held on. Oh, the time went by, how it did fly. I can feel it moving. Great prison walls they die, sleeping on the sidewalks under cardboard sheets, and the patriots look on. And when there's nowhere to run and nowhere to hide, and the only thing you've got is to give up your life, and you can't buy in, and you can't live free. I said the only thing that's left is the Patriots' dream.
40,000 strong. Protest the taking of the sacred ground. And the Queen left her letter on the justice door. And the patriots hold on. Oh, nowhere to hide. And the only thing you got is to give up your life. And you can't buy in. And you can't live free. They're the only thing that's left is the Patriots Dream. Oh, Patriots gather 40,000 strong. Protest the taking of the sacred ground. And the Queen left her letter on the justice door. And the Patriots look on. That's how we're gonna do it. Yeah.
Mahalo, mahalo, Laulani.
Yeah. And everyone
mahalo,
here.
everybody.
Gets,
mahalo to all you folks. This was pulled together real fast. And Laulani was supposed to be on vacation, I think so. Huh? So much for vacation. This is some vacation. Mahalo. This is so beautiful. Any other songs?
I'll play one more.
One more, yeah, one more. Yeah, one more. Thank you, Uncle. This is like back in the day kind.
Back in the 70s, I was visiting on Kauai and I went into this house. And when I left the house, it was like this fellow, person who looked like, you know, he came from New York or something. He had grown up with the people from Niihau and learned how to make chalets. His name was Laka Morton. Walking into his house was like walking into Kanaloa's world. The shell, his whole place was like underneath the ocean. When I left, he handed me 2 poems. I'd like to play one of them for you. It's a song about the Opihi. And at that time, you know, Li'i, it's just like 40,000. Not that much to the language. Only then I knew the counter, and he said, you know, ihoi, the 40,000. So this song, to bless you, like the Opihi, we move with the tide. Yeah. You know, don't need to go, but you get stuck. Sometimes somebody gonna get stuck on Batata Puhaku, and you know, somebody gonna go someplace else. So we move with the tide, all the colors, everything, all the different Opihi. And I just was reading about, you know, the ocean is getting warmer, right? California, they get an invasion of Opihi over there. Yeah, the Olympics stay all the way up and get the big kind thing, the koalas and everything. I was checking out, going, yeah. Okay, so song Kule Opi to everyone, all your ohana, and of course to honor the 40,000 Hakupunas and the Kuwait petition who stood fast with the Queen. Stood fast when Kuhio went before the Congress and was betrayed by the plantation. They supported that. The Hawaiian Civic Club, Ahupua. That's what we can have. Just like the Mauna. The most beautiful thing was to be up there at night, and as far as I could see, left and right, was camping. Everybody was camping. There's no place that we can go to do that. And we had it under control. Self-management, self-determination. We know how to do it. Okay? Aye.
Hope everybody for the topics, huh? See, we don't want us to come in now. Here we go, gang. Dedicate this song to Brother Kai Billy Kawe Lauli. I'm there in Puipu. Only now can you Kule Opihi. Destination Kona. Where are all the rivers? Where's our water? Huh? Never had to go Kauai shed blood. We went over there for make peace. Huh? What were you gonna do? We pack like sardines over here. Huh? Think about it, gang. Now we get flying canoes. And they really need us because accountability time is starting to seep into everyone's consciousness. You gotta get up and then time to go sleep. So you gotta pace yourself. Aloha. Mauna Kea o Kauai. Aloha.
What? You forgot the bag! Bah! We get him, gang! Yeah, oh wow, we get him! Hello everybody, nice to see you guys again.
I got it. I got it. Some water.
Oh my God, you make me tired.
That's my brace.
Yeah, that's a good stop. That stop has character. Okay, I see you guys. Okay,
Okay, mahalo everybody. This has been an awesome event. I'm gonna cut the live stream so I can make sure that Uncle Liko eats something. But mahalo for tuning in and watching, and please stay tuned. Mahalo nui to Healani and to the sound. It's so important. Look at the beautiful moon. We're going to end on this beautiful, beautiful celestial body that we don't need no telescope to see, yeah? No need no telescope.
And be ready for the kahea and come out. TMT, Kukiai Mauna!
Kukiai Mauna! Kukiai Mauna!
Kukiai Mauna!
Kukiai Mauna! Ew!
just ask. Thank you.
Aloha.